everyone. Welcome to Learn English with Podcast. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Tony. How are you, Nikki?
I'm great, Tony. How about you?
I'm fantastic. I'm really excited about today's topic.
Me too. Today, we're going to talk about life in the city. We will share our experiences and opinions about living in the city. We'll also hear from some guests about their city life stories.
Yes, living in the city can be very interesting. There are good things and bad things. What do you think are some good things about living in the city, Nikki?
Well, one good thing about living in the city is that there are always many things to do. You can go to the cinema, visit museums, or eat at different restaurants. I love trying new foods.
Oh, yes. I remember the time we went to that new Italian restaurant. The pizza was amazing.
Yes, it was. Another good thing about the city is public transportation. It's easy to get around by bus or train. You don't always need a car.
That's true. I like that too. But there are some bad things about living in the city as well. For example, it can be very noisy. There are many cars, buses, and people. Sometimes it's hard to sleep because of the noise.
Oh, I know what you mean. I once lived next to a busy street. It was so noisy at night. Another disadvantage is that the city can be very crowded. There are always many people everywhere.
Yes, and sometimes it can be stressful because everyone is in a hurry. But I think the city is exciting. There are always new things to see and do.
Definitely. I love the energy of the city. But it's also nice to have a quiet place to relax. Do you have any funny stories about living in the city, Tony?
Oh, I do. One time I was on the subway and I saw a man with a pet parrot on his shoulder. The parrot was talking to the passengers. It was so funny.
That's hilarious. I remember once I got lost in the city because my phone battery died. I had to ask a lot of people for directions. It was a bit scary, but also an adventure.
Living in the city can be an adventure every day. That's why we love it, right?
Exactly. And now, we are going to hear from some guests about their experiences living in the city. They will tell us their stories, and we will ask them some questions.
Yes. I'm excited to hear their stories. Let's get started.
Yes. And remember, if you have any questions or want to share your own story of living in the city, feel free to share it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.
Now we're excited to welcome our first guest. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Nikki and Tony.
It's great to have you here, Jane. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Jane, and I've been living in the city for about 5 years. I moved here for work and stayed because I love it.
That's wonderful. So, Jane, can you tell us a story about your life in the city?
Of course. One of my favorite stories is from when I first moved here. I was really nervous about using the subway because I had never used one before. On my first day, I got on the wrong train and ended up in a part of the city I didn't know at all.
Oh no, that sounds scary.
It was at first, but then something amazing happened. I met a kind lady who noticed I looked lost. She helped me find my way back and even gave me some tips on using the subway. We became friends and still keep in touch.
Wow, that's a great story. It shows that even in a big city you can find friendly and helpful people.
Yes, it does. So, Jane, what are some things you like about living in the city?
I love the convenience of having everything nearby. There are shops, restaurants, and parks all within walking distance. I also enjoy the variety of cultural events, like concerts and art exhibits.
That sounds fantastic. Do you ever miss living in a quieter place?
Sometimes I do miss the peace and quiet of the countryside, but I think the excitement of the city makes up for it. There's always something new to explore.
That's true. What about the challenges?
Are there any difficult things about living in the city?
Definitely. One big challenge is the cost of living. Everything is more expensive here, from rent to groceries. It can be tough to manage sometimes.
Yes, city life can be expensive. Do you have any tips for managing living costs?
I try to budget carefully and look for deals. For example, I use apps to find discounts on food and entertainment. I also try to cook at home instead of eating out all the time.
Those are great tips, Jane. What about making friends in the city? Is it easy or difficult?
It can be a bit challenging because everyone is so busy. But joining clubs or groups with similar interests helps. That's how I met most of my friends here.
That's a good idea. Joining clubs is a great way to meet new people. Do you have any funny or interesting stories about your friends in the city?
Yes. Once, my friends and I decided to have a picnic in the park. We brought a lot of food, but we didn't check the weather. Suddenly, it started raining really hard, and we all ran to find shelter. We ended up having our picnic under a bridge. It was wet but fun, and we still laugh about it.
That sounds like a memorable experience. It's great that you made the best of the situation.
Yes, and it's those unexpected moments that make city life exciting.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories, Jane. It was wonderful to hear about your experiences.
Thank you. It was great talking with you both.
Before you go, let's talk about some interesting words we heard in Jane's story.
Sure, one word is subway. A subway is an underground train system used in many cities.
Another word is convenience. This means something that makes life easier or more comfortable.
We also heard budget. This means planning how to spend your money.
And finally, shelter. This means a place that gives protection from bad weather.
That's right. Thank you again, Jane. We hope to hear more from you in the future.
Thanks, Nikki and Tony. Have a great day.
All right, listeners, we hope you enjoyed Jane's story. Now, we're excited to welcome our second guest. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Nikki and Tony. Thanks for inviting me.
It's great to have you here, Michael. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Michael, and I've been living in the city for 7 years. I work as a graphic designer and love exploring new places in the city.
That sounds interesting. Michael, can you share a story about your life in the city?
Absolutely. One of my favorite experiences was when I participated in a city marathon. It was my first marathon, and I was really excited. I trained for months and felt ready for the challenge.
A marathon? That's impressive. How did it go?
It was amazing. The marathon took us through different parts of the city, and the streets were full of cheering people. It was a great way to see the city and feel the community spirit. But around the 20th mile, I started to feel very tired.
That's a long distance. What did you do to keep going?
I kept thinking about why I started and how great it would feel to finish. Plus, other runners and spectators were very encouraging. I pushed through the fatigue and finally crossed the finish line. It was an incredible feeling.
That's fantastic, Michael. Completing a marathon is a huge achievement. What did you like most about the experience?
I love the sense of accomplishment and the support from the community. It showed me how friendly and supportive city people can be. Also, running through the city streets without traffic was a unique experience.
That does sound unique. What are some other things you like about living in the city?
I enjoy the diversity. You meet people from all over the world, and there are always different cultures and foods to try. I also like the art scene. There are many galleries and street art to explore.
Yes, the city is very diverse. But are there any challenges you face living in the city?
Definitely. One big challenge is the fast pace of life. Everyone is always in a hurry, and sometimes it's hard to find time to relax. Also, the air pollution can be a problem.
Yes, the city can be very busy and the air can be polluted. How do you deal with these challenges?
I try to find time for myself by going to parks or taking short trips outside the city. I also exercise regularly, which helps me relax and stay healthy.
That's a good strategy. Do you have any funny or interesting stories from your time in the city?
Yes, I do. Once I was in a coffee shop and saw a group of people playing chess. They invited me to join, and I ended up spending the whole afternoon playing chess with strangers. It was a lot of fun, and I made some new friends.
That's a great story. It shows how open and friendly people can be, even in a big city.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, Michael. It was wonderful to hear your stories.
Thank you for having me. It was great talking with you both.
Before you go, let's talk about some interesting words we heard in Michael's story.
Sure. One word is marathon. A marathon is a long-distance running race, usually about 26.2 miles or 42 kilometers.
Another word is fatigue. This means extreme tiredness.
We also heard diversity. This means having many different types of people or things.
And finally, accomplishment. This means achieving something that you have worked hard for.
That's right. Thank you again, Michael. We hope to hear more from you in the future.
Thanks, Nikki and Tony. Have a great day.
All right, listeners, we hope you enjoyed Michael's story. Now we're excited to welcome our final guest. Hi, Alice.
Hi, Nikki and Tony. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here, Alice. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Alice, and I've been living in the city for 3 years. I moved here for my job as a teacher, and I've really enjoyed the experience.
That's wonderful. So, Alice, can you share a story about your life in the city?
Absolutely. One of my favorite experiences was when I first discovered a hidden garden in the middle of the city. I was feeling stressed from work and decided to take a walk. I turned down a small alley and found this beautiful, quiet garden.
That sounds amazing. A hidden garden in the city. What did you do there?
I sat on a bench and read a book. It was so peaceful and quiet, away from the city noise. I felt completely relaxed. I now go there often when I need a break.
That's a great find. What are some other things you like about living in the city?
I love the opportunities for learning. There are so many libraries, museums, and workshops. I always find something new to learn and experience.
That's true. The city is full of opportunities. But, are there any challenges you face living in the city?
Yes, one challenge is the high cost of living. It can be expensive to live comfortably in the city. Another challenge is safety. Sometimes I feel unsafe walking alone at night.
Those are real challenges. How do you manage them?
I budget carefully and look for discounts on things I need. For safety, I try to stay in well-lit areas and avoid walking alone late at night. I also take self-defense classes.
That's very smart, Alice. Do you have any funny or interesting stories from your time in the city?
Yes, one funny story is when I got lost on my way to a friend's party. I ended up in a street festival. There were people dancing, music playing, and lots of food. I stayed there for a while before finding my way to the party. It was an unexpected but fun detour.
That sounds like a lot of fun. It's great that you enjoyed the festival, even though you were lost.
Yes. It shows how many surprises the city can offer. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, Alice. It was wonderful to hear your stories.
Thank you for having me. It was great talking with you both.
Before you go, let's talk about some interesting words we heard in Alice's story.
Sure. One word is hidden. This means something that is not easily found or seen.
Another word is peaceful. This means calm and quiet.
We also heard opportunities. This means chances to do something you want to do.
And finally, detour. This means a different or longer route to get to a place.
That's right. Thank you again, Alice. We hope to hear more from you in the future.
Thanks. Have a great day.
All right, listeners, we've heard some great stories today about life in the city. Let's take a moment to recap and learn some new words.
Yes. From Jane, we learned about the subway, which is an underground train system. We also talked about convenience, meaning something that makes life easier.
From Michael, we learned about marathon, a long-distance running race. And fatigue, which means extreme tiredness.
And from Alice, we learned about hidden, meaning not easily found, and peaceful, meaning calm and quiet.
We also talked about opportunities, meaning chances to do something you want, and detour, a different or longer route.
These are great words to know when talking about city life. We hope you found these stories and new words helpful.
Yes, and remember, if you have any questions or want to share your own city life story, you can share it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode of Learn English with Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our discussion on life in the city and learned some new vocabulary.
Yes, it was great hearing from our guests and sharing our own experiences. Remember, practice makes perfect. Try to use the new words we talked about in your daily conversations.
We invite you to practice your English by listening to our podcast every day. It's a fun and easy way to improve your skills.
Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Give us a like if you enjoyed today's show and share it with your friends who are also learning English.
Your support means a lot to us and helps us create more content for you. Thank you for listening and being part of our community.
We'll be back with more interesting topics and stories. Until then, keep practicing and have fun learning English.
Bye for now, everyone.
Bye.